In the beginning, when the world was still young and mysterious, two brothers, Cain and Abel, stood before God, each with an offering in their hands. This ancient story, found in the book of Genesis, has puzzled many for centuries, as it raises fundamental questions about the nature of worship, the heart of God, and the human condition. Why did God reject the offerings of Cain, and what lessons can we, as modern worshipers, glean from this enigmatic tale? As we delve into the narrative, it becomes clear that both brothers were attempting to honor God in their own ways. Abel, the younger brother, brought the firstborn of his flock, the choicest and the best, as an offering to God. His sacrifice was a demonstration of his faith, his trust in the divine, and his willingness to give his best to the Almighty. On the other hand, Cain, the elder brother, brought an offering from the fruit of the ground, seemingly a more mundane and less personal gift. At first glance, it may appear that God's rejection of Cain's offering was arbitrary, a display of divine capriciousness. However, as we explore the story further, we discover that there was more to God's decision than meets the eye. The Bible tells us that Abel's offering was accepted by God because it was given in faith, and it was a sacrifice that reflected the depth of his devotion. Abel's heart was in the right place, and his actions were guided by a genuine desire to connect with the divine. In contrast, Cain's offering, although seemingly acceptable on the surface, lacked the sincerity and the passion of his brother's gift. Cain's heart was not fully invested in his offering, and his actions were more a product of obligation than a genuine expression of worship. This dichotomy between the two brothers' offerings serves as a powerful reminder that true worship is not just about going through the motions or following a set of rituals. Rather, it is about cultivating a deep and personal connection with the divine, one that is rooted in faith, trust, and a willingness to surrender our best to God. As we reflect on this ancient story, we are compelled to examine our own hearts and our own practices of worship. Are we, like Abel, giving our best to God, or are we, like Cain, merely going through the motions? One of the most significant lessons we can learn from this story is the importance of intentionality in our worship. When we come before God, are we doing so with a sense of purpose and passion, or are we simply following a routine? Are our prayers, our songs, and our sacrifices offered with a sense of sincerity, or are they mere formalities? The story of Cain and Abel reminds us that God is not interested in empty rituals or half-hearted gestures. Instead, he desires a genuine and heartfelt response, one that reflects the depth of our devotion and the sincerity of our faith. As we navigate the complexities of modern worship, it is easy to get caught up in the trappings of religion, the external forms and rituals that can sometimes masquerade as true spirituality. We may find ourselves going through the motions, attending church services, singing hymns, and reciting prayers, without ever truly engaging our hearts. But the story of Cain and Abel warns us against such superficiality, reminding us that true worship is not just about external actions, but about the internal posture of our hearts. Another crucial lesson we can glean from this story is the danger of comparison and competition in our worship. Cain's offering was not rejected because it was inherently bad or unworthy, but because it was offered in comparison to his brothers. When we compare our offerings, our prayers, or our service to others, we can easily become distracted from the true purpose of worship, which is to connect with God and to honor him with our lives. The story of Cain and Abel reminds us that our worship is not a competition, but a personal and intimate conversation with the divine. In our modern context, this lesson is more relevant than ever. With the rise of social media, we are constantly bombarded with images and stories of others' spiritual journeys, their worship experiences, and their devotional practices. It is easy to get caught up in the comparison game, to feel like our own worship is inadequate or insufficient in comparison to others. But the story of Cain and Abel warns us against such comparisons, reminding us that our worship is unique, personal, and valued by God, regardless of how it may appear to others. As we reflect on the story of Cain and Abel, we are also reminded of the importance of humility and surrender in our worship. Abel's offering was accepted by God because it was given with a sense of humility and surrender, a recognition that everything he had belonged to God, and that he was merely giving back to the divine what was already his. In contrast, Cain's offering was characterized by a sense of pride and self-sufficiency, a notion that he was giving to God out of his own resources, rather than recognizing that everything he had was a gift from the divine. This lesson is particularly relevant in our modern context, where we are often encouraged to be self-sufficient, to rely on our own strength and resources, and to strive for greatness. But the story of Cain and Abel reminds us that true worship is not about asserting our own independence or self-reliance, but about recognizing our dependence on God and surrendering our lives to His will. When we come before God with a sense of humility and surrender, we are more likely to experience the depth and richness of true worship and to cultivate a genuine and heartfelt connection with the divine. In conclusion, the story of Cain and Abel offers us a profound and timeless lesson about the nature of worship, the heart of God, and the human condition. As we reflect on this ancient tale, we are reminded of the importance of intentionality, humility, and surrender in our worship, and we are warned against the dangers of comparison, competition, and superficiality. As we navigate the complexities of modern worship, may we be guided by the example of Abel, who gave his best to God with a sense of faith, trust, and devotion. May our own worship be characterized by a similar sense of sincerity, passion, and humility, and may we experience the depth and richness of true worship as we connect with the divine and honor God with our lives. As you consider the lessons from this story, we invite you to reflect on your own practice of worship. Are there areas where you can deepen your connection with God, where you can cultivate a more sincere and heartfelt response to the divine? We encourage you to take a moment to examine your own heart, to consider your motivations and intentions, and to surrender your life to God's will. And as you do so, may you experience the transformative power of true worship, and may your life be filled with the joy, the peace, and the love that comes from a genuine and intimate connection with the divine. If you have been inspired by this story, and if you are seeking to deepen your understanding of worship and your connection with God, we invite you to like and subscribe to our channel, where we explore the depths of spirituality and faith through the lens of anime and storytelling. We also encourage you to comment below, to share your own thoughts and reflections on the story of Cain and Abel, and to join the conversation about the nature of worship and the human condition. Together, may we journey deeper into the mysteries of the divine, and may we experience the transformative power of true worship in our lives.